This video is not about music, it's not about the guitar. I just figure people would be more motivated to listen to my message if they saw me holding the guitar. I mean, what's the big deal? I think my message would be good for you, so why not use a little white lie if I believe it's going to bring about something good? Listen to the wisdom of God shared through His church. I'm reading now from section 2485, taken from the Catechism of the Catholic Church, which is a compendium of God's wisdom, God's teachings through Scripture and the long tradition of His church. And it says, by its very nature, lying is to be condemned. It is a profanation of speech, whereas the purpose of speech is to communicate known truth to others. In other words, we have been given the gift, the ability to communicate with one another so that we can communicate truth. The very purpose of any means of communication is to share truth, known truth with one another. Truth is an attribute of God. God is truth. Therefore, any lie, it's an offense to God. It's an offense to my relationship with Him, my relationship with truth. Any lie, it's an offense also to my brothers and sisters because it destroys my ability to develop trust, which can only be developed if I communicate known truth. This is why, by its very nature, lying can never be justified, whether it is a big, serious lie or what we commonly refer to as a white lie. Now, the challenge many of us face are those circumstances in which I don't want to hurt someone else's feeling, so maybe I want to spare them from telling what I think is the truth, or those circumstances in which I don't think something I did is that big of a deal, so, why tell the truth? It becomes a big problem. And in those circumstances, maybe I'm tempted to say, well, I might as well just tell a little white lie, because after all, I think by that little white lie, I can achieve something good. Well, no. Even if the intention is to achieve something good, the end does not justify the means. A white lie is still morally wrong because it violates the virtue of telling truth, which is the very basic purpose of communicating with one another. So, what could we do in those circumstances? Say, for instance, I don't want to hurt someone else's feelings. Well, first of all, in general, I would invite all of us to pray for and to practice the virtue of prudence. Prudence is that ability for me to know what is good and what is not, to choose to pursue what is good and to reject what is not. In the case of my communication with others, prudence allows me to know, okay, how do I say what I need to say? Every time I speak in honesty. How much do I have to reveal? Sometimes we reveal according to the maturity of the other person. Being honest doesn't mean that I say everything all the time. I have to use the gift of prudence. What else can we do? Well, maybe when someone comes to you asking those tricky questions, do I look well in this dress, in this shirt? Am I balding? Which I am. Maybe we should ask ourselves, what is the underlying concern of this person? Maybe the person who's asking me needs affirmation. Is actually struggling with other personal concerns. How can I help that person? Maybe it's not really about me losing my hair. And finally, being honest doesn't mean that we have a license to be rude, because I always speak the truth whenever I want, whenever it's needed, because truth leads to goodness. Yes, we want to communicate truth, but we can communicate truth, we can be honest with kindness, with benevolence, seeking goodness in the life of others.